big changes could be coming to the COVID-19 rules travelers have to follow to come into Canada. CBC News has learned that Ottawa may be ready to drop some rules altogether. Janice McGregor is live in Ottawa, and she is tracking all of this. So, Janice, after months of pressure, how could all this unfold?
Look, each time the pandemic border rules are set to expire, Cabinet has to make a decision. Are they going to extend them? Is there a strong argument for extending them further? And as the next expiry date approaches on September 30th, it appears that perhaps now that argument can no longer be made. Officials who spoke to CBC News cautioned that there's been no final sign-off on this yet, including from the Prime Minister. But as now reported by the Toronto Star, Globe Mail and others, COVID travel restrictions, including things like vaccination requirements, the random testing regime that's in place at airports, might be reaching the end of the road. So what would happen to the ArriveCAN app? This has really been a focus of attention. It seems it's not going away, but it could be optional from now on. The rule that all travelers couldn't use paper documents, had to enter their information into the digital format, it was a deterrent early on when officials wanted to, perhaps discourage leisure travel, but it's still a deterrent to visitors now, even as governments have been spending a lot of money trying to resuscitate the travel and hospitality sector. Not everyone pays for a mobile data plan that works on the other side of the border. Not everyone carries a cell phone, period. Seniors in particular. Often tourist travelers struggled with stories of good Samaritans in border towns having to guide people to local free internet sites just so they could do what they needed to do to return home. And some Americans were deciding, look, going to Canada just wasn't worth the trouble. But federal officials like Transport Minister Omar Alghabra has emphasized that the use of this app has kept those lines moving, made it easier for officials to do their verifications and checks at borders. And that's why the government continues to believe it's useful.
As you say, though, this deadline has been looming, and of course the government has been under pressure for months from a number of groups. Why now?
Yeah, interesting, right? Because Cabinet appears to be waiting until the end of summer tourist season to lift these restrictions and make it easier for travelers. Meanwhile, scientific experts have been suggesting for some time that with so many COVID variants circulating among our domestic population, and fortunately, pretty high vaccination rates here overall, it's not really clear that the border measures are as effective or, frankly, as necessary as they may have been earlier in the pandemic. Just yesterday, a cross-border group of politicians wrote an open letter to U.S. President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, calling for a return to normal at the border. This was a group of 15 Canadian border city mayors, 7 American mayors, and 16 MPs, all pleading really, for governments on both sides to end the remaining COVID travel restrictions. They wanted a reprieve long before now. Now we have these signals that it's finally coming, at least on the Canadian side. We watch to see if we see some similar signals coming from the American side to know whether this could be a coordinated move.
Janice, thanks for this. Janice
You're
McGregor
welcome.
in Ottawa.